return here from Sacramento right after this. Welcome back to the Sacramento Water Festival here in California, and we had a chance to talk to the man who put his boat on the pole this afternoon, Mike Siebold. He told us his secrets of going fast here on this course.
Just hit the corners as hard as you can and get through them as smooth as you can, because a lot of guys, they hit the corners so hard that they bury the boat. And the way I like to do it is just come in a little bit wide and just kind of set it down a little bit, not as hard as everybody else, and just kind of get through the corners as fast as possible. That's how I find you make a fast lap, is the way you go through the corners.
Well, this difficult course here in Sacramento has got a lot of little quirks to it that can cause problems for the drivers, and one is a spillway. Gene Thibodeau said it's a real problem when he's out there. If the drivers come out of turn number 4 very fast, they've got to come down this front straightaway, and what's happening here is this water is coming down the wall here, dropping out on the front straightaway, and it's causing a cross current for the drivers. And when this happens to them, they come off at turn number 4. They've got to make an adjustment as this water comes rushing onto the front straightaway. The boat wants to settle, and what they've got to do is make the adjustment to make sure the boat doesn't settle and the sponsons go in the water. If it's too drastic of a problem, the drivers may actually flip the boat over. So they've got to be very careful to keep the speed up. This is causing a major problems, and they've got to keep their eyes close to what they're doing here as they come down this very fast straightaway at Sacramento. Seconds to go before the start. 19 drivers on the start dock. 50 laps this afternoon. The white flag is up. All eyes glued on the official starter, and they're away. And it's Mike Siebold in a Bud Light boat from the pole, who's grabbed a tremendous first start late as he heads down into the first turn buoy. Now Siebold works his way down the back chute. He'll set up for turns number 3 and 4. As you can see him taking the inside route, he has found that clear water that he wanted. Siebold now making the turn through 3, now through turn number 4, heading down this front straightaway in front of the packed grandstands here in Sacramento. We look back to see who our leader is. It's Siebold, who is starting to build a tremendous margin, but right behind him is Gene Thibodeau, who made a tremendous start from the 6th starting position. Here's Siebold now, coming by on turns number 1 and 2 as the drivers start to work through in the pack. We watch to see who's behind him. It looks like it's Buck Thornton in 3rd place, and now it's Michael Werner and then Steve D'Souza back in 5th as we watch the remainder of the pack go through.
Well, this is really going to be interesting to see what happens as the race develops. Thibodeau has raced here before. He knows the water can get tricky. This is Michael's first race, and he's out front right now where the water's calm. But once he starts to move in the back of the pack and start to lap some of the back markers, how's he going to handle that water?
Well, with Thibodeau, the reigning Formula One world champion, who's a 17-year racing veteran who is moving up and made a great start. A couple of drivers who are going down the ladder, and that's Bill Siebold, who started 2nd. He is down into 6th position, and Chris Bush, who started 4th, he has dropped all the way down to 10th position. And I'll tell you one thing, Mike, he'll be looking for a restart in this race because obviously they picked the wrong propeller, and he told me before the race that if there was a restart, they were guessing on the prop. They didn't have much testing time this weekend. He would change the prop.
Well, that's the thing. When you're out there qualifying, the water is, you got the good water. You get out here, it's very deceiving right now looking at the water. It looks like it's fairly calm, but you're down there in that spillway where we talked about earlier. It gets choppy in there. You know, you are guessing at the setup. And it's going to be interesting to see if there is a restart, what kind of changes are made for the drivers.
As we go back to our leader, Mike Siebold, there you can see the rough conditions he's encountering down in front straightaway as he makes the turn through 1 and 2 on the Tower Bridge and now starts to accelerate on this very unusual back straight, Mike. You're constantly creeping. You start off as the driver comes around that turn. He's going to his left. And then as he gets about the halfway point down the back stretch, he has to start turning right. And when he gets down to turn 3 and 4, it's more than a 180-degree turn. We now go to lap number 9. You take a look at our series leader, Buck Thornton out of Duck, North Carolina. He qualified in 3rd. He is currently in 3rd, but he's starting to nip up the heels of Gene Thibodeau as Buck is starting to make his move 9 laps into the race. Mike Siebold is our current leader. He has led from the start, from the pole. In 2nd is Gene Thibodeau. 3rd, Buck Thornton. 4th is Michael Werner, the series defending champion. And Don Johnston, who is in 5th place, has made great progress. He's had a tough weekend, but he has started in 10th. He is up to 5th place, and that Burgess Hall is really running for him this afternoon.
Well, he flipped it during testing, and he had to go back and borrow a couple boat cowls from another competitor that didn't show up this weekend, Guido Capolini from Italy. He had to borrow those to get the boat back on the water. He's doing very well right now.
There you see the Purnell Flyer hull of Gene Thibodeau out of Winter Haven, Florida, driving for Bill Holland Racing. Gene has had more time than anybody on this tour.
Having run here 3 years in a row, you kind of learn the currents and things, and I'm really looking forward to having a good race here. It's a beautiful place to race, and the people in Sacramento really get behind it, and we just praise God they let us come here and put on a show for them.
Do you actually sit back and have a notebook writing out different things that you have tried in the past, or is it more of a mental notebook for you?
Well, it's more of a mental notebook. John Stenbeck, my crew chief, and I, we compare notes after every race, and we try to weed out the good things from the bad things, and it works quite well. You know, having just switched back to Mercury's, we've kind of been out of touch with it for a few years, and we're having a time getting back in the groove, but we're going to catch up to them.
Thibodeau working on that groove. He comes through turns number 3 and 4. Now rockets down in front of this large grandstand here this afternoon. Well over 45,000 fans here in Sacramento enjoying this IOGP Champ Boat race.
You know, Gene is really handling that rough water well now. We didn't get a chance to see the full potential down in Augusta because he went out on the first lap. But there you see Thornton. Now he's moving up on Thibodeau, and he looks like he's at home in that new boat of his too. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens here as the race progresses, because they're neck and neck.
Our second place driver, Gene Thibodeau, heading down the back stretch. And Mike, it looks like he's slowing down. Thibodeau goes to the infield. Oh, what a disappointment for this man from Winter Haven, Florida, who last year the same thing happened to him. Gremlins have set in again on Gene Thibodeau. So Thibodeau is out of the race. 11 laps down. We'll be back after this. Welcome back to the Sacramento Water Festival here in Central California, the first stop ever on the IOGP Tour to go to the West Coast. We have reached lap number 16 of our main event this afternoon, a 50-lap Champ Boat affair, and there you see Don Johnston out of Lakeview Terrace, California. And we go back to our leader, Mike Siebold, who has built up a tremendous lead at the beginning part of the race, Mike, but now it's all of a sudden it's Buck Thornton who is up to second place, and Buckaroo, the man out of Duck, North Carolina, is starting to move up, and he's starting to challenge Mike Siebold for that lead.
This is where setup comes into play. Mike Siebold out there and qualified the fastest. He qualified like everybody else in calm water. Michael May set up a little bit different for the race, thinking it might not get quite so rough. Buck, it appears, set up for the rough water, and now he's been able to move up on Michael.
And as we watch the boats come through turns number 1 and 2 here down in the Tower Bridge area on the north side of Sacramento on the course, there we see Bill Siebold, who is in 5th place, almost go on in. A balancing act for the man from St. Louis, Missouri. His cowling has dislodged from the boat. And now you see him pull up his hand and push the cowling away. That cowling will sink. Now Bill Siebold, you're going to see a very unusual boat as he starts to accelerate away, Mike.
Somebody is definitely on Siebold's side today. Normally, if a driver does that in a turn, he's going to go upside down. Siebold lucked out, got it back right side up, but he's going to have a problem now. He's going to probably lose 8 to 9, maybe even 10 miles an hour with that cowling on, so it's going to slow him drastically.
Siebold continues, of course, in the race. No problem with the power plant, but the aerodynamics have been upset, and there you see the unintentional littering that Siebold has done on the back side of the course. While back on the front side of the course, you see reigning IOGP champion Michael Werner in lap number 20 moving up to 3rd place. He started in 8th, and the wily veteran out of Cologne, West Germany, is battling for the points championship this year, and this year so far he is up to 2nd.
Steve, once again we go back to setup. We're seeing some dramatic position changes, and I think it's because of the water condition. When the drivers qualify, they're on the course for themselves in calm water. Then they make the setup changes for the race. What that means is lowering the engine, different pitch propellers, different weight distribution of the tanks, batteries, or seats. It's all very important to the running of the boat.
As we watch the pack of boats, we see the battling pair of Mike Siebold and Buck Thornton for the lead. Thornton is closing the gap. Just 5 laps ago, he was 7 seconds down. Now he's less than a second. There he is on the inside in the red and silver boat, and he's grabbed the lead, and he's trying to pull away from Mike Siebold in that Bud Light boat, who has now dropped back to 2nd place.
Whatever changes Buck made from qualifying to the actual race, he made the right decision, because it's very obvious right now, the way he's running in that rough water, he is definitely pulling away from Mike Siebold.
Well, the driver in the ship's watch, Siebold-built Mercury-powered hull, is out in 1st place, and he makes the inside route. He is finding it a little bit easier, Mike, to take it very close to the inside. He's really hugging the fin. So our 47-year-old from Duck, North Carolina, the points leader on the tour. Buck Thornton has the lead. We see Mike Seabold, who has lost the lead after hanging on for 22 laps with that full advantage. There is your leader as he airs it out coming down the front straightaway. He is thundering down in a big hurry as he makes the turns through 1 and 2. The 25-year racing veteran finished last season in a flurry. He won at New Martinsville. Then he went over to Europe and won the Paris 6 Hours and helped the United States get back the coveted Harmsworth Trophy in London. There we see our second place man, Mike Seabold, desperately trying to hang on. As Seabold comes down the front, it looked like Buck Thornton had stopped in the water, Mike.
He pulled up the right-hand side of the course and stopped. It appears right now that everything's okay. He's off the course, so Chief Referee Mike Thompson has not stopped the race.
What a shame for Will Pergandy, the owner of that boat. They won at the first race of the year. There you see the boat, and it is smoldering, and the boat is on fire.
It's burning underneath the cowl. It's hard to say what it is right now, but in a fire like that, it's usually a fuel problem.
And I don't know, Mike, if Buck really knows that it's on fire. He's just sitting there calmly over on the west side of the banking there in Yolo County.
He doesn't. He's still in the cockpit. You got to understand that he's strapped to the capsule, and even if he did know it was on fire, it's still going to take him a few seconds to get out.
The boat is really ablaze now. Buck is abandoning ship. They have stopped the race, and we are going to restart this one here. As the boats line up for the restart, let's go down to the dock and talk to Buck Thornton and his frightening experience that he had.
Buck, you're in the proverbial hot seat.
Not only were you leading the race, and then all of a sudden it got a little too hot for you. What happened?
I don't know exactly. We'll have to determine that when we get the boat in, but the boat was just running. It was super, you know. We could ride it anywhere we wanted to, and it was just doing too good, I guess. And then when the boat stopped, the people on the shore, you know, kept yelling. I said, finally I was able to turn around, you know, I was still in the capsule. I saw the smoke. I said, hey, get out of here.
Well, with Buck safely on the dock, we're halfway home in this event this afternoon here from Sacramento. We'll have more when we return right after this. Time out. Michael and Mike Butler welcoming you back to the beautiful confines of the Sacramento River here for the Sacramento Water Festival. We have completed 26 laps in this race, 24 remaining. On the pole is Mike Seabold, Michael Werner from Germany in second, Don Johnston from California in third, and fourth is Billy Seabold. Those are your top four as the white flag is up. We're just seconds away, and the boats explode away from the starting dock. From a great vantage point from up high in the helicopter, you can see them heading for the entrance pin, and it looks like the man on the pole, Mike Seabold, has grabbed the lead. These boats have outrageous power. Propelled by Mercury electronic fuel-injected V6 engines, these 2-liter power plants produce 300 horsepower. They'll rocket the driver from a dead stop to over 100 miles an hour in less than 5 seconds, and there you can see them exploding down the front straightaway.
This is a start that several of the drivers are looking for, I think, Steve. With that restart, they were able to make some of the necessary changes to accommodate the rougher water. And we'll see what Mike Seabold did now. Obviously, he jumped out the lead again, but there again, he's in calm water. So let's see what happens when the race gets chopped up a little bit.
There has to be some questions in Mike Seabold's mind. He knew that he had lost his lead after building up an 8-second margin. We'll see what he does here as he heads down into the back stretch. Mike must be thinking about what happened there earlier on in the race, and he almost goes over on the side. He makes the turn coming out of turn number 4, and there's been a tremendous accident, Mike. And it's happened over in turn number 3, and the corner workers are waving the red flag. This race will be stopped once again. And as the rescue boats go out to tend to the drivers, let's look at it one more time, Mike. This is a graphic example of why capsules will be mandatory on champ boats for next year. There you see Don Johnston being hurtled out of the boat, flipping end over end 3 or 4 times, and then drivers going to the outside trying to miss the driver as he flies across the course.
What you couldn't see there was Bill Seabold and Don Johnston colliding in the turn and both blowing over backwards. And Seabold's capsule kept him in the boat.
Well, this race has been stopped. Let's go to a race that took place earlier in the day, the Mod VP event. As the drivers start to get the boats to the start dock, let's take a look at the top drivers in this class. Rusty Campbell, the points leader, starts third from the dock. Greg Foster, who set the fastest time yesterday, driving for Del Taco. Alan Swoker from Santa Ana, California, driving for John's Custom Marine.
Jeff Brewer from Roseville, California qualifies 4th, while Chip Watkins, driving for Fred Bowden's California Gold, qualified 5th. And 6th position goes to Pete Sprouse, driving a Mercury-powered slick craft.
Tim Dixon from Reno Linda, California, and Chuck Stiers from Bullhead City, Arizona. And starting ninth, Steve Bowen out of Phoenix, Arizona. And of the 14 drivers that will be racing in the Mod VP event this afternoon, 9 are from California, 2 from Arizona, just 2 from the East Coast. Fred Bowden, an owner of boats in all 3 classes, talks about Chip Watkins, his driver who has taken over his seat this year, who has had problems in his heat race yesterday, starting 5th. Well, yesterday, watching your driver out there and watching him pirouette a few corners, you must have thought maybe he had his right foot dragging, but then when he brought it in, there was a problem with the boat.
Yeah, a little hole on the right side, back near the transom, and we feel that was the problem with the hooking in the turn, so we've repaired that, and I think we'll be in good shape for today.
Well, Chip Watkins is a very talented driver out of Massapequa, New York. He set the fastest lap in his qualifying heat yesterday at 85.4 miles an hour. The white flag is up. And the official starter just moments away to start this race. Greg Foster on the pole, driving the Del Taco Mercury-powered GMT boat. The flag is dropped and the boats are away. And it's Rusty Campbell, who started from the third starting position, who is on the outside, and he's challenging Foster for the lead as they head toward the entrance pin on the back straightaway. As we watch the boats come through there, now heading down to turns 3 and 4, it's Campbell who has grabbed the lead. And on the inside, Greg Foster will now make the challenge. So it's Rusty Campbell in that Castleberry's STV Mercury-powered machine, who now makes the turn down the front straightaway and has a clear lead.
He got away from that dock real quick, and he's got the advantage now. But let's see if he can pull away from Greg Foster. And you got to see Alan Stoker's moving up on the outside.
Campbell now starting to move over on the inside in front of Foster. We'll keep an eye on the battle for second place as we have a beautiful panoramic view of the boats coming through here on the Sacramento River this afternoon. And there you see the yellow boat of Alan Stoker. He has moved to the outside of Greg Foster and has moved into second place.
Well, he took him on the outside. Looks like he's got a little bit of punch on him. Let's see what happens later on when the course gets chopped up. Rusty right now has got the smooth water. You can see it right there. It's glass smooth, but he's still the first one around. Let's see what happens once you get chopped.
Campbell has that boat aired out perfectly. Now settles it down, goes into turns number 3 and 4. He was defeated by Greg Foster yesterday by 5 seconds in his heat race. And he started third from the dock, but he beat him at the start, and he's grabbed the lead. And there's Alan Stoker now trying to power by on the outside.
Well, look at the way those boats are coming across that rough water there. That's the spillway we were talking about earlier, and it's leaving some big swells as the boats are coming through, and those boats are really getting loose coming through that water.
As we watch a driver that spins out, it's Al Anton out of Stockton, California. And as he restarts the boat, he'll come back through. He is way down on the order, however, and this is going to hurt him in the results sheet as the race goes on. Looking from Tower Bridge, we watch the boats come through, and there you saw Ron Panner from Roseville, California, taking a buoy out, and that's going to cost him $100.
You can sure tell the water's getting chopped up now the way Rusty's going into turns 3 and 4. He's slipping a little wide, and he's really getting caught up in the rough water, and Alan Stoker's taking him on the inside.
So Stoker, who said to me before the race began he was going to try to pass drivers on the outside, is challenging Rusty Campbell on the inside. Alan was hoping before the race the waves would start to build up and they'd have a lot of rollers and a lot of choppy water, and there you see Rusty Campbell having a harder time right now than Alan Stoker getting through that rough water.
I don't know, Steve, as rough as it is out there, I'd say they're handling it fairly well. And there you saw Rusty. Now he's going back into the inside. And the reason Alan Stoker took Rusty on the inside is before is because Rusty swung wide. That allowed Alan the inside lane, and he took it. He wasn't going to give it up.
Interesting thing about this hull, Alan Stoker did nothing to improve it over the winter. He said all he did was add the capsule, and then the top cowling it is new this year. That same type hull sent Fred Bowden off winning the Mod VP World Championship last year. Alan Stoker has the lead, but Rusty Campbell is closing the gap. They're battling tooth and nail down the front straightaway. This race is exciting. More to come right after this. Welcome back to beautiful Sacramento, California for the Sacramento Water Festival. We have reached lap number 8 of the Mod VP World Championship race. And in the lead is that yellow boat, Alan Stoker out of Santa Ana, California, who has built up a 3-second margin on series leader Rusty Campbell of Augusta, Georgia. Alan Stoker driving for John's Customs Marine is really getting it aired out here, and he tries to make a move, a dangerous move there, as you saw him making a pass on the inside of one of the drivers.
Well, he's starting to move up through the back markers right now, and he's getting caught up in that chop in the rougher water. And it's going to be interesting to see how he handles it, because now he's out front, and he's moving through the back markers. Let's see if he can keep Rusty on his tail.
So it's Stoker in first place, Campbell in second, Greg Foster in third, and Chip Watkins has moved from fourth to fifth. And now they're waving the red flag, and that could be Chip Watkins that went over between turns 1 and 2.
That's Chip. He's in the capsule, so he's strapped in, and there he is. He just got out. And when you're strapped in like that, you want to get out there as quick as you possibly can.
That is a new experience for Chip Watkins, the first time he's ever gone over in that capsule boat. And no matter how well you try to plan for something like that, when it happens, it's got to be earth-shattering for you.
Oh, when you're upside down underwater like that, I mean, it's Panic City, I believe. I mean, I've never had it happen to me, but you want to get out of there as quick as possible.
What bad luck for the California Gold driver, who yesterday in his qualifying heat collided with another driver and had to repair and patch up a boat this morning to get it back into the race. And then today he barrel rolls here, and he is out of the race. So with Chip Watkins gone, we're getting set for the restart here of the Mod VP race. Less than a minute to go. They have fired off the gun, and we will continue this race. But first, let's go down and talk to the man who just came out of the water, Chip Watkins. Chip Watkins, probably the first man anywhere in the world that's had a chance to really test a cell in the Mod VP. First of all, what happened?
Well, this is probably one of the roughest races I've ever run. Anytime a race gets rough, conditions become tough.
Right.
That's really the story.
Well, you take a look at the crew here. They were out here holding their breath, especially Larry Bowden. He was very happy when you came out of the cell. Any problem getting out of it?
I was a little happy when I came out of it also. Yes. I had a trouble removing the steering wheel release, which is an item that we have just manufactured because I don't like the ones that are in the boat. I would have had mine in the boat, but the medical personnel and safety crew was familiar with the type that was already installed in the boat. So I didn't want to mess them up and go and change it at the last minute. However, it will be changed from now on. You can count on that.
Any other changes besides that you like to make?
That's it. Capsule works fine. No problem. I'm 100%, and that's it.
Watkins, the first test pilot in the capsule here at the Mod VPs. He's all right, and we'll find out if the boat's all right, too. Well, hats off to the Darts and the Chattanooga Stars rescue crews that were quickly out there, and they got him out of the water after that boat barrel roll. And we're underway for the restart, and Alan Stoker got stuck at the dock. Our leader, and it's Rusty Campbell again with an electric start. He jumps off and is heading off in the lead, going down toward that entrance pin on the back straightaway. So, Mike, Rusty Campbell is becoming a magician on these starts. He has looked fantastic today, and he has all year.
Well, Rusty is a rocket coming off that beach. He's got that engine dialed in perfect, and right now I think it's going to be tough for Alan Stoker to get by him because he's got the clear water now, and we'll just see what happens when the water gets once again chopped up.
Well, the Castleberry Foods driver is out in the lead. You can see Alan Stoker behind him, and on the outside you see Greg Foster, who originally started this race on the pole. He is back in third place on this restart. Now Campbell sets the trim down, makes the corner here, now starts to sweep wide as Stoker tries to take him even wider on the outside as we watch the rest of the boats come through here on the restart.
Well, it appears that Alan Stoker has a little bit more top end than Rusty. Rusty, I think, can carry him through the turns if he can just keep it tight on the pins.
Campbell, who is driving this boat at Rourke Summerford, his builder, had spent well over 100 hours during the off-season trying to build up the bottom end of this boat. And there you see the driver behind him, Alan Stoker, barrel rolls in turns 3 and 4, and this race has been stopped. Alan Stoker barrel rolls the boat, and he stays in it. And the capsule again shows you how the driver gets unhurt in this spectacular accident. There you see Campbell, and over to the right of the screen, as you can see, Stoker, he hooks the boat, does a complete 360. The boat continues to go around, and Foster just cutting in on the inside there as the boat rights itself. And Alan Stoker is a wet driver and probably a little embarrassed at the same time, and the race has been stopped. So the drivers are moving their boats back into position at the start dock. This is the second restart of this race. The white flag is up. We're just seconds away. And we'll see if Campbell can dart off from the starting dock one more time. He's been able to do it perfectly so far this afternoon. And with the white flag up, we're just seconds away from the start, and they're underway. And a tear away from the dock, and again, it looks like it's Rusty Campbell, who is on the pole this time, getting in the perfect position and heading toward that entrance pin, and will set that boat up and head directly down the back chute, going into turns 3 and 4. And this time, you can see the lead that Rusty Campbell's been able to pull out.
The water conditions seem to be eliminating the competition for Rusty Campbell out there. Chip Watkins barrel rolled, Alan Stoker barrel rolled. Greg Foster is out there right now giving him a run for it, but he's got 2 other boats coming through 3 and 4 there.
What a great traffic jam. Foster trying to pick his way through traffic, 3 abreast as they came out of pin number 4. Now that gives Rusty Campbell a chance to pull out his margin as Foster got caught up in traffic, and there you can see Campbell, who's already exploded out to about a 3-second lead. Yesterday was not an easy day for him. He started 7th on the dock and finished 2nd to Greg Foster in his heat race. And today, though, however, he has the lead. And we went down earlier and asked him about the conditions of this tough course.
In rough water conditions, I've got an advantage all the way around. I have every now and then you have a little trouble in the mod VP in the turn, but that's only natural due to the stock motor we run is so tall in this top-heavy outfit, and if you don't watch it, all the mod VP boats will have trouble in the corner. Straight away, I can go into this wind. I don't know how hard it's blowing, 10, 15 miles an hour, and it doesn't affect me a bit. I did hear some real tough competitors complaining about the wind, and that's the kind of thing you like to hear.
Well, Campbell is out there battling against Greg Foster, who has moved into 2nd place. We have reached lap number 30, and this is the final lap of the race. If Campbell can just keep the boat together and stay out of trouble, he'll bring it home for the 2nd victory in 2 starts on the IOGP Mod VP World Championship Tour. So Campbell now working his way down the backstretch, is unrelenting and is building up his lead as the last lap works its way down.
Steve, Rusty's right in his interview. He can handle that strong wind. You could see the way he was going down. He had no problems with that. And like he said, he did have some problems going through the turns, but so did everybody else.
Here comes Campbell down the final front straightaway. He'll come across the start-finish line and take the checkered flag. So Campbell, in the Castleberry Foods entry, will finish up here in Sacramento, winning the race. And there is the checkered flag. So Campbell comes across the line. He is 2 for 2 here this year on the IOGP Mod VP World Championship Tour. Campbell comes across the winner. Greg Foster finished 24 seconds behind him. Tim Dixon on a great run started 7th, finished 3rd, and Dave Hersum started 13th and came up to 4th.
Over half the drivers out here today in Mod VP class have never run on the IOGP Tour. It's good to see new faces out here once in a while.
Campbell takes the victory. His fast lap of the day, 82.6 miles an hour. He averaged 79.5 for the race. We'll be back for the final conclusion of the champ race right after this. Welcome back to the restart of the Champ Boat Race here in Sacramento this afternoon for the Water Festival. We hope you're enjoying it. Steve Michael and Mike Butler with you here. As all eyes are on the official starter as the white flag is up, and we're just moments away from the restart of the Champ Boats here. A 50-lap affair, 1.25 miles around. And they wave the flag, and they accelerate away from the dock, and it's Chris Bush who's made a tremendous start, and he jumps out of the lead, and Mike Siebold has stalled his boat at the dock. He will go no farther as the boats head down now narrowly into the backstretch, and there's the 2 boats that stalled. Siebold, the pole sitter, on your right, and Gilman on your left.
Mike Siebold's bad luck appears to be Chris Bush's good luck, because whatever changes he made before that restart, he made them right, because he shot away from that dock, took the lead. He's in the clear water right now. He's looking good.
I'll tell you something. He took me aside before the race, and he said, Steve, I'll tell you what, if we haven't got our propeller selection right, he said, I will pull out my special propeller. And he has, and he's chosen one that he set the pace at Singapore a year ago. He qualified faster than everybody by over a second. It's a very thin propeller, came right out of the Mercury shops, and he's excited to have it on now. He's glad he got that restart, and look at him go down that back straightaway.
He's definitely handling that water well right now. Watch him going through the turn. The boat's going very smooth through there, although it still is a little choppy down there from the start. But he looks like he's handling it well. The other guy that looks like he's fairly close to him is Michael Werner.
And as we pick up the action here on the 31st lap, it is Chris Bush who has a lead of 2.5 seconds. There's no opportunity to retard the throttle now with Werner on his back. And Berner, the current IOGP champion, is trying to find a way to move up on Chris Busch. And once he does, however, Mike, it's going to be real tough finding a way around him. I'll tell you, Chris Busch is acting like this is a 5-lap sprint race.
Well, I don't think it's just Chris Busch. Michael Horner's running like it's a 5-lap sprint race also. And the way they're going at it right now, it's going to be duel to the finish.
There you see Berner, who is thundering down the backstretch in a big hurry, trying to find his way by Chris Busch of St. Paul, Minnesota, driving the Castleberry's entry, STV Mercury-powered hull. And it's Michael Berner who is driving the Bill Holland Mercury-powered Siebel-built hull, who is trying to find any which way to reel into real estate on Chris Busch, but Chris is able to hold that 2.5 seconds lead.
This is interesting here now. We've got two different hulls out there running, both running the same power, but two different hulls. It's going to be interesting to see what happens at the end of the race here.
There's the man who is in third place, Steve D'Souza, driving the Easy Loader Icon machine, and D'Souza, who has come out of nowhere, he has moved himself up, and he is driving very well. As the race goes on, he's only gotten stronger. And as we work our way down to the waning stages of this race, it must be tiring in his environment for Chris Busch with no capsule. And we go to that final lap, Mike.
That's true. With the capsule and this kind of water, you're strapped in, you're nice and tight in the cockpit, you're not getting bounced around through that rough water. Chris Busch is not in a capsule, he's getting bounced around, so you've got to believe it's taking a little bit out of him.
A driver who is one of the most daring individuals in a race thrown around the world, Chris Busch, now thundering down the backstretch. He's a half a lap away from winning his first ever IOGP Champ Boat race. He has won in Europe before in Bristol, but he has never won in his home country. Now as we get the panoramic view here in the Sacramento River, we wait to see Chris Busch if he can hold off Michael Berner from West Germany, who is trying to move in, and the checkered flag is out. And Chris Busch takes the race here in Sacramento this afternoon. And Mikey's got to be in a mild state of euphoria under his Arai helmet.
Looks like the comparison between the two hulls this race goes to the STV by Summerford. Interesting thing, though, we saw Michael Siebold not get off the dock in that restart. The reason he didn't is he shorted out his ignition switch. When his dad, Bill Siebold, blew over with Don Johnston, he jumped in to try to help, and when he got back in the boat, water was on the switches, and they shorted him out.
Chris Busch, the fastest lap of the day, 99.8 miles an hour, an average speed of 95 miles an hour for the race. He defeated Michael Berner by 2.5 seconds and picks up his first ever win on the IOGP Tour. So there you see him, a very elated victor this afternoon, Chris Busch. We'll be back to talk to him when we return right after these timeouts from Sacramento.